Hello, how are you doing? I hope the day has greeted you in a fabulous way. I myself am feeling wonderful, fantastic, and terrific as I've just finished a 3-day water fast. Now, many people ask, why do a fast in the first place? What's the point? What's the benefit? And in my next newsletter, I'll get into much more about the reasons why I personally have made fasting part of my integrated wellness practice for the past 15 years. But in today's video, I just want to share with you a conversation that I had going into this fast with my good friend Greg Pilla, who I did this fast with as an accountability partner. Greg's been making fasting part of his wellness practice for the last 4 or 5 years upon my strong recommendation and has seen some unbelievable benefits. In our conversation, we'll talk about things such as why do a fast in the first place? Questions around, is fasting extreme? Can it mess up your metabolism? Things like that. So I hope you enjoy our conversation and glean much from it in case you are considering doing a fast of any type coming up soon. I think what we talk about in this video will be greatly helpful to you. Enjoy.
So let's fast. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So this is number 2 within 3 years that we've done together. The last one we did was almost 2 years ago to the day. It was March 2023.
Okay.
We did 3/4 days respectively, Greg to Mitch ratio.
Yeah.
Now, have you done one since then?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
That's cool.
Yeah, probably one.
All right. So
I stopped for a while.
yeah. Now, we've talked about fasting a number of times over the years, but what initially piqued your interest in fasting? Like, how did you learn about it, and what made you think that it was something that would be right for you?
Well, I mean, it was mostly you. You've been trickling in on my ear for many, many years that I should do it. And then I don't know if this was you or not, but then like I stumbled upon the Bragg book. I don't know his first name, right? But
It was
that
me.
was like the nigger.
Paul Bragg.
Paul Bragg,
Bragg's
yeah.
liquid aminos and
Yeah. And I was actually in jury duty. I was like waiting for it to happen. It ended up being canceled. So I was there for like 8 hours and I read the whole book. I kind of skimmed a lot of it because half the book is like really, really fluffy and the other half is like really good.
right.
And it really broke it down, all the ins and outs, even though fasting's a lot of it's pretty straightforward. But between you and then that, and then, me also having gut issues, those 3 things kind of made me like pull the trigger originally.
Right. So you bravely did, I believe it was just like a straight up water fast for that first time ever. It's like 3 or 4 days with your friend, as I remember. Right. Or did you
Who did I do? I forget who I did it with originally, but yeah, I've pretty much always done the same one, the 3.5 day kind of fast.
Right. Now, so after you did that first fast, what did you notice physically at the end of it? Like, what gut issues did you go in with, and did they help resolve some of them?
I'm pretty sure even from the first one, definitely after like 2, like the second one was, I think I did maybe like 2 months later, something like it wasn't that long later, but right away, like I had a lot of healing of my gut. Like I had a lot of gut problems at that point in my life where I think I've been diagnosed with like mild IBS. And I had a lot of like, issues and nothing. I was trying like everything I could think of, all sorts of diets, all sorts of different things. And that was the only thing that was like crystal clear, healing, where like I was significantly better. I wasn't 100% better, but I was significantly better. And I was like, a week later,
Exactly.
and I was like, wow, there's something to this,
Exactly. The book, the one that Greg's referring to, is The Miracle of Fasting, and for a lot of people, that has that miraculous effect. They just can't believe, first of all, that it's even something that's possible, like that you can go 3 or 4 days without food and not only not die, but actually feel better and rejuvenated and revitalized on the other side of it. So, indeed, miraculous.
Yeah, it's one of those getting over the hump things. Like for us, I think it's similar to cold plunges, right? Like
Right.
I was the guy that couldn't put his toe in the water, and now I do like 5, as 5 minutes, no problem.
Exactly. Standing on your head, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
really
needed a coach. I needed a coach for cold plunge too.
okay. Yeah, true. That's right.
I had a coach. I did one session with a coach. I haven't really done much after that. I did one session with a really, really good coach. And now I remember what he said, and now it's like almost easy.
Totally. And what do those two things have in common, fasting and cold plunging? What component would you say do they have in common?
Um, I mean, you could probably art like this is more cold plunge is like cold plunge puts you under stress so that when you're in your regular life, your whole overall stressors reduce, I think. That's one of many benefits.
Mhm.
So you could maybe argue that for fasting too. I'm not sure. That's the first thing that I thought of.
Yeah,
Um,
I was alluding more to like the mindfulness and like the mental challenge of them. Like, I mean, yes, there's a physical component that's very immediate, like the
yeah,
shock of freezing cold water, the shock of being starving for the first time and feeling like you're gonna eat, your own hand off. But then just like the mental overcoming, and then of course how it just all of a sudden gets exponentially easier, weirdly. At least for me, that's the experience I have with both of those modalities.
yeah. Fasting is very hard for me
Okay,
mentally,
okay. Yeah.
compared
Yeah,
to cold
right.
plunges.
You have told me that actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not hard in the sense of like once you get through the first one, you don't like never want to do it again. You know,
Right.
kind of actually feel like it's not that big a deal once you
Yeah.
get through the first one.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a because cold plunge is a very short term, you could do 90 seconds and get a lot of benefits.
Hmm.
And then the after feeling for me, I think for many people is amazing, right? You too. I know that.
Right.
So
Right.
you get that real euphoria right after. Fasting, I know for some people, right, when they get to day 2 or 3, they kind of get that energy boost or whatever. And maybe post fast, right, they feel really good. But yeah, I mean, I felt different in different fasts, but you kind of feel like crap a lot in during the fasts, especially if you don't overhydrate, which I have had trouble with. You could get really bad headaches and stuff, which I've had. And my dad, was like, you really got to step up your hydration. So
Totally
I
agree.
had the question, but yeah.
It does. No, no. I mean, and everyone has a different experience. I mean, you sort of said, I guess you're experiencing it from fast to fast. You don't feel like it was such is torture that it deters you from ever wanting to do it in the future. And I was saying more like within the fast, there's like you start to notice that the hunger comes in waves. And when you realize that the waves crest and then they have a trough and you can just sort of ride those waves within the fast, it becomes more of a meditation. It becomes more of just like a observation of yourself. Like, okay, well, this is me dealing with some discomfort. And I know that if I can basically endure it, that the discomfort will pass. It's definitely transient. And then like the frequency of those waves come less and the dynamic range is less. So like the peak of hunger doesn't feel as severe when you're in day 2 or 3. It's just like little, oh yeah, there's the hunger, and then it subsides. And then it's like I feel like I could be smooth sailing for hours and hours and hours. That's my experience.
Yeah. And I think you have a better mental focus on that side of it. For me, which is similar, what I can say is there are times like I think for me it's in day 2 usually where my mind is starting having crazy thoughts, right? And but they're so crazy that you almost recognize it like in a mindfulness state that like this isn't a real thought. Like it's that
Right.
crazy. Like it's this typical like why am I doing this? Should I stop?
Sure.
And then but there for me it's like should I eat my toothpaste? Like this type of stuff has gone through my head. Like like
Don't do
that's
that.
so crazy that like I could see it's just a thought and it's not like a real thing.
Exactly. It's an artifact of sort of sort of being in a weird delusional state. Okay, so you noticed a lot of the gut issues immediately responding well to fasting. So that was encouraging. Now, so like how do you see, I mean, you're a fitness guy, you and I have been training for more than a decade. You are a yogi, a meditator, you play hoops and soccer, you're a sporty guy. How do you see fasting as part of like an integrated holistic wellness approach
Yeah,
program?
for me, I would say like, nothing beats, right? Like excellent nutrition and fitness, right? Of course, and good sleep. But with that being said, I think fasting is such a, from what I've read, right, is
Mm,
such a crazy, healing, kind of modality that, if you chat GPT it, right, it'll say like it detoxifies you like immensely, right? It
yeah.
cleans out all these dead cells, right? It
Yeah.
helps with your metabolism, it helps with your insulin response, it
Yeah.
helps with your Parkinson's and all these
Dementia and
dementia
Alzheimer's.
risk,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
Neurodegeneratives.
yeah, and so we don't have like really other tools that do that. And so just by taking a few days, every couple months or
Right.
whatever, to add like a serious amount, and it reduces your cancer risk, some would argue,
Oh, yeah.
because of the clearing out of the detoxing process.
Hmm.
So that, even though I don't know if some people like can't wrap their head around that, like those are long-term benefits, not like immediate benefits, but they're so profound from what I'm reading. That's my favorite part about it. And I'm like, this isn't that hard where I'm really adding like some longevity to my life here. That's
I'm
what I
right
like.
there. Yeah, I'm right there with you. Becoming your own physician by addition by subtraction, as we might say. Instead of it being a pharmacological solution that you would add into your, holistic approach to keeping yourself well and healthy, you're just taking things away and forcing your body to deal with the problems that might exist on its own. Which, of course, it's a brilliant machine and knows exactly what to do with those things.
Yeah, and then also in the short term, right? I'm an example, and there's many people like in the brag book, but also if you just talk to people who fast, they experience similar to me, like a
Right.
lot of feeling. Like my gut was really messed up, and then it was like 90% better. And
That's
that was after a year of trying all sorts of things and nothing helped at all.
right.
Including the gastro doctors, including
Yes.
even my uncle, right, who's like Dr. Furman, who's like one of the best nutritional doctors in the world, couldn't really figure out how to help my gut. And that was the only thing that worked. So there's that. And then like in the brag book, it'll talk about all sorts of stuff that people have had issues with joints. It decalcifies you, right? It removes some like sodium buildup and stuff. All this stuff, like people have chronic pain and all of a sudden it's gone from fasting.
Right. A lot of these autoimmune inflammatory diseases. That's exactly right. Arthritis, psoriasis, plaque psoriasis, all of the above. So now here we are about to do another fast. And um, do you have any specific goals for this fast? Are you coming into this fast hoping to achieve anything new, or is this like again just gut health, overall health, or what's up?
Yeah, I mean, lately we were talking previously, like I've been gaining a little bit of weight for, it
Mm,
could be having kid number two and less sleep. It could be a variety of things, right?
right, right.
But yeah, I think it's nice to have a reset on, fasting is not a good tool for weight loss, I don't think, but it is nice to have a reset of your body to kind of cleanse it out
Mm,
and kind of start fresh. And then you could kind of reapproach your wellness goals after. So I think I know I'm going to feel better, and then I
mhm.
could kind of build from the fast. So that my goal is to kind of like reset and build my athletic performance, my wellness, my how I feel, all that. What about
Right.
you?
Yeah, mainly spiritual clarity and enlightenment, seeing the false as false, as they say, understanding that urges, desires, perceived needs are all transient things. Good things and bad things will all come to pass. And fasting is just such an immediate way to like stay in that practice for a prolonged period of time, days on end, where you're forced to just watch yourself really want something. And if you just watch yourself long enough, you see that urge kind of will just float on by, and you're still okay on the other side of it. So I find it to be a great tool to get into like an elevated level of consciousness or awareness, so that I can approach some of the other um, problems in my life, with a whole different perspective too, which is
Yeah, that's smart.
yeah.
It's almost like you're like similarly on that side of things. If someone or if we're having a hard time with our meditation practice, or we're having a hard time with like our these different consciousness and mindfulness approaches, you could
Mm,
just go a little all in and do something like a fast, and that will
mm.
kind of like have a forcing function to put you in that state, instead of having to force
Totally.
yourself to do a daily practice. It's like, hey, let's do a 3 day and then boom. That's cool.
Yeah, total immersion for sure. All right, so to round things out, for anybody that might watch this video or hear this, do you have any words of advice or encouragement if they are about to undertake their first fast?
The best thing you could do, hands down, which is what we're doing, is have a partner. Because it's a hard thing, but it's like 1,000 times easier with a partner. Because like you're having a hard time, you text your buddy, right? You say, I feel like crap, or I'm doing awesome, or whatever it is. I find it so much easier.
I
That's
agree. Accountability partner. Yeah, yeah, you can't really beat it. You feel like, because it is a very lonely feeling, especially like, you have a family, you coming home and you're not eating and everyone else is eating around you. Like that was always the hardest part for me. And when I first started fasting, I was a bachelor and it was just me and my thoughts in a shoebox apartment. And actually that made it a lot easier. But coming home and just having everyone's ordering pizza and just like having their evening snacks, and it's just like tearing your hair out. And but
Yeah,
it gets easier.
it gets easier, and you can't over plan it. Like
Right.
you, something's gonna come up. Like last time I went to a party where it was food everywhere,
Mm,
and it's not ideal because it's annoying. But
yeah,
you just have to book it and do it.
exactly. Yeah. And I'll say, I mean, you mentioned also fasting not being a great tool for weight loss. I mean, what I would say, words of advice that I would give anyone is like, I have a very specific way that I sort of tiptoe up to a fast. Like I definitely cut carbohydrates way down so that my blood sugar dynamic range is really muted. So it's not like super high, super low, super high, super low. And then when I start to cut calories too, like, so we're starting in 48 hours. I think our last meal is actually going to be tomorrow night, come to think of it. So it's 24 hours away from now. So that means, today is sort of a low glycemic day for me. A moderate caloric intake. Tomorrow I'll eat even less and make my last meal probably just like protein and vegetables, so that again, when I wake up on Tuesday morning, my stomach isn't like, okay, like give me some carbs or give me some food. So that definitely helps a lot. I find stepping into it,
Yeah,
starting
for
to
sure.
down from it. Yeah.
100%.
And in terms of weight loss, like I will say, obviously, after a few days of fasting, you're gonna drop some pounds. Like that definitely happens. But of course, you refeed and eat them right back. So it's not necessarily a great tool for someone that's like trying to lose 40 pounds. Although many people have done consecutive fasts and lost tons of weight. They
Mhm.
integrated intermittent fasting, which obviously helps a lot. And just like getting your stomach size to shrink generally to require less food to feel as full, I find is a good tool. It also trains you to like sort of realize your relationship to food. Like there's a lot of times when you're fasting, you may not even be like super hungry, but you're just like thinking, like you're sitting on the couch twiddling your thumbs and just climbing the walls, and you're just like walking to the fridge because that's just your normal routine or habitual sort of reflex in the moment. So, in that way, I think it can give people some insights as to how they could use fasting to help with their weight loss goals. So I will just add that.
Cool, cool. Okay.
Okay, let's turn the tables here and go ahead and let me know if you have any questions for me about this fast or any of the fasts of the past.
Yeah, I mean, I want to know what I have my opinion on this, but I want
Mm,
to know what your take is on a true water fast versus a coffee fast versus like some juicing,
all right.
or whatever it is. Like, people do different types of fasts. Today, there's even like all these supplements that are like almost like fast mimickers, but just as
Mm.
you can start with coffee. Like, do you think having anything besides water hurts the fast, or do you think that you can add something like a coffee or something else?
Yeah, I would say a true fast is going to be just water, or even more extreme, a dry fast. I mean, people are doing these dry fasts. Muslims do it during Ramadan. That was actually the hardest fast I ever did. Was I joined one of my clients who was during Ramadan fasting. A dry fast just for one day was so much harder than a 4 day water fast that I've done many times, and that was very, very eye opening. So I
Mm,
think true fast is giving the body a total rest. A total and complete rest from all metabolic function, endocrinological function. And when you have coffee, your cortisol will spike and your body will actually secrete insulin in response to that, which is interesting.
okay.
So I think coffee, that's off the table, vegetable juices, all that stuff, that's off the table. I think a water fast or a dry fast are the only true fast, in my opinion. But I also don't know the science.
Yeah, I fully agree. Maybe a follow-up question is,
Hmm.
I spoke to some yogis recently, and they recommended using trace minerals,
Okay.
which is interesting. Again, I don't know how that affects the body exactly,
Right,
uh,
right, right.
but their argument is like it doesn't affect the healing properties of the fast, but keeps some level of, very slight nutrients in the body or whatever.
That's an interesting take. I mean, I've heard of civilizations which subsisted on nothing more than a handful of dirt, as in soil, as their food source for extended periods of time, which would be nothing but trace minerals: iron, selenium, manganese, copper, all of those. And so there's probably something to be said for that. I suppose maybe that accelerates the cellular healing process. When you give the cell just what it needs to reduce its oxidative stress and repair its broken parts, even with nothing else impeding it in the digestive tract. So I'd be interested to try that sometime.
Yeah. All right. I wanted to ask you, like, what's the best part of a fast for you, or the
Mm.
best benefit, or just the best thing about a fast?
Yeah, for me, the best benefit always is the spiritual clarity, the mental clarity, the mental sharpness, and the spiritual clarity, and also like the paradox of going from feeling I told you before, it feels like Wolverine mode, where like you go from feeling like whoa, sort of woozy, to like all of a sudden there's adamantium coursing through your veins. So I like the superhuman effect and the spiritual upregulation.
Yeah, I remember one fast you kept it going a few extra days because you were like on this rush, which not everyone gets, but
Right.
you said you were in Wolverine mode. Yeah, for me, we were talking about like the how do you pronounce this? Autophagy?
Autophagy. Yeah.
Autophagy. I always mess up the word.
Oh,
Autophagy
sure.
is my
Yeah.
favorite part, the real detoxing of the body
Right.
and getting all those amazing benefits of reduced dementia and risk, and really cleansing the body no other way. So that's my favorite part.
I'm with you there.
So this we didn't prepare this, and I have an answer. If you don't have an answer, you could defer back to me.
Hmm.
Is, is there any argument against fasting that you would say has legitimacy?
No, as long as you do it properly. If a person is, let's say, diabetic, let's say they have a medical condition where they need to keep their blood sugar in a specific range. Um, it could be, there may be medical reasons why a person might not do a fast. But I think given the appropriate conditions, there's all benefit and no drawback.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Um, Let me just respond, right? Because this conversation is like very pro fast. We're very well studied on fasting. We're all about fasting.
Right.
However, my uncle, Dr. Furman, has much more experience than us and most people around the world. And I think I can't exactly say, but I think his position on fasting, currently, which has changed over many decades, is that he isn't using it as a regular tool.
Mhm.
Maybe because it could promote swing dieting, maybe because the muscle loss, and kind of that portion of it. And what he does, from what I understand, is he'll take someone, especially someone who's very sick, or has a big problem, and puts them on like a really intense nutritional program over several or 8 months. And at once they're weaning them off medications and they're healing. At the end of that, to like put it kind of like over the edge, he'll do a fast with them after a big program.
That
So I
is
thought that was really interesting, and I think it's always good to take the flip side of an argument and something to look into further.
for sure.
What are like I was thinking about some lessons I learned from reading the Bragg book,
Hmm.
or just lessons about fasting and generally, like cool tips or cool things that maybe people don't know about fasting.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that I took from the Bragg book was sort of what you were speaking to, which was that he referenced the fact that Hippocrates, like the father of all medicine, sort of used fasting as his number one healing tool, and basically said fasting will cure every single thing that could ever go wrong with you physically. And this is coming from ancient Greeks, and the ancients of old have all used fasting as a way, again, to get closer to God and to cure all which ails you. And I found that really interesting. And so I really clung on to that. And I've just noticed myself that every single medical problem I've dealt with, whether it was acid reflux or indigestion, whether it's asthma, skin conditions, basically every single time I've used fasting as the modality, the problem has totally evaporated and never come back. And my health and wellness and vitality has been extremely peaked since fasting has been part of my integrated wellness practice.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page. That's what I got out of it too, because I personally cured my gut with fasting, or I had a lot of problems over about a 2 year period. It was really bad, basically cured from a few fasts. And then in the book and from what I've studied, it's like, you know, you have buildup of salts in your body, you got calcium buildups in your joints. All these things can be detoxed kind of away in fasting, or, some people have benefits from their autoimmune diseases. Some people have benefits from even muscular and like, physical issues that the fast, um, the way your body kind of changes in the fast, it has this like weird, crazy healing mode. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Anything else I'm forgetting?
No, no. I think we circled the wagon and gave people a lot to think about and hopefully motivate them to give it a try if they haven't, or to join us and it jogged their memory into saying, oh yeah, it's been a while since I've done my last fast. It might be time for another one.
Yeah, I mean, we like doing it, me and you, but there might be a day where there's 50 or 100 people on our fasts with us.
Yeah, exactly. Hey,
That could be cool.
I think so. I think so too. Definitely. If anyone's watching this, drop a comment if you want to join me and Greg on our next fasting journey. It's always an interesting experience and always different. Not, no two are the same. Some are harder than others, and definitely the benefits and sort of the level ups seem to be different fast to fast.
It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be nuts. It's gonna be awesome.
Crazy. Yeah. Well, I'm ready. So okay. I will look forward to hearing how it's going with you. We'll start Tuesday morning. We have another day to stuff ourselves full as much as we want to. But again, do so, exercise caution, because the more you eat, the more the pendulum shall swing in the other direction. So,
Words of wisdom.
yeah, for sure.
Words of wisdom. All right. Monday night, we'll toast to it. No more food.
That's what's up. All right. Well, thanks for joining me, Greg. Good luck on the fast, and I look forward to hearing all of the benefits that you reap from this one.
Peace out, my brother.
Peace out.
It's always great talking to Greg. He and I share back and forth many ideas around health and wellness, mindfulness, and physicality as a way to help level ourselves up over the years. In my next newsletter, I'll be getting much more into the reasons why I personally fast, the strategies I use to set myself up for success going into a fast, as well as the strategies I employ during a fast to get me over the humps and over the hurdles, as well as dealing with the mental struggle of going day after day after day with no food and only water. I'll also be talking about intention setting and motivation going into a fast, the reason for doing it in the first place, as well as going through some of the clinical research as well as anecdotal research around the benefits of fasting that will help motivate you to want to give it a try yourself. So be sure to keep an eye out for that newsletter coming soon. That's one you won't want to miss if you want to go with me on a deep dive into fasting. Until next time, keep practicing.